It is possible to contest a will. For example, if my father writes a will and cuts me out of the will, it's possible for me to file a lawsuit and contest that will and basically ask a judge or a jury to void that will so that the effects of the will can be defeated. There's a procedure for doing that, and you have to follow certain deadlines. But for example, suppose my sister tricks my dad into signing a will and she gets the entire estate and I receive nothing. In that case, I would have, after the will is admitted to probate, I would basically have 4 months from the date that the will was admitted to probate to file a lawsuit contesting the will. There's a whole set of procedures for how that works, but after a full court proceeding, the court could determine that the will is void and should be thrown away because of my sister's undue influence or because my father lacked capacity. So capacity would be his ability to understand what he was signing. Undue influence would be if my sister convinced him that he wanted to do something that really wasn't his will, it was really her will. And if she did that in an unfair way, that's grounds for me to contest the will. If the will is contested or thrown away, then the consequence of that becomes important. For example, if a prior will treated me as the sole beneficiary, by throwing away the new will, the old will is revived and that old will then takes its place and can be admitted to probate. So before you contest a will, you'll want to make sure you know what the consequences are. There are some wills, for example, instead of, let's change the example, so my father, instead of leaving me out entirely, he leaves me 20% when I think I'm entitled to 50. Well, if I contest the will, if my father has written in an incontestability clause, basically he is saying if somebody contests the will, then anything I have given them is thrown out and they don't get a dime. So before I contest the will, I better make sure I can win, because if I contest and lose, I will lose my rights under the will, even the 20%.